Hello and thanks for joining the first edition of Journalist Hangout. This week, I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. We have 25 more days to the conduct of the 2019 elections in Nigeria, as each passing day brings us closer to the all-important polls. Always keep a date with us. Today on the program, Nigerians outrage as Buhari Atiku shun debates, and later on the show, presidency kicks as Obasanjo accuses Buhari of behaving like Abacha, doubts INEC on free and fair polls. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Olayinka Oyegbile. So if you are ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for joining us. It is said that all is fair in war, with the general election in Nigeria just weeks away. The gladiators are employing various tactics to boost their chances in the polls. But an act reminiscent of the statement by the late American chess icon Robert Bryan that democracy is being allowed to vote for the candidates you dislike least. Nigerians are not happy with the presidential candidates of the two major political parties in the country, President Muhammadu Buhari of the All Progressive Congress and his PDP challenger, Atiku Abubakar, shunned the 2019 presidential debate to the dismay of many citizens. This has sent tongues wagging, but President Buhari and Atiku have decided to choose their fight carefully as the battle for votes in February intensifies. The presidential candidates of the ACPN, ANN, and YPP who attended the debates also expressed their disappointment. Let us listen to them.
I am not surprised they are not here. They have just simply announced their exit from the governance of our country. I think it is important for us to acknowledge that there is a political class that simply needs to fade away from our country. Because the idea that the will of the people will be subordinated to the whims and caprices of our politicians should be a total anomaly. If the two dominant parties cared about the Nigerian people, they would come here in order to have a contest of ideas on how we would fix Nigeria.
Well, it says that the future is here. That's what it says. And that all things have passed away. But I must say something to you, and Mark, and to the people of this nation. Pride always comes before a fall. And every time you believe that you have no need to tell the people what it is that you're going to do, it means that you were not there to serve them in the first case. You were going to rule over them. And we should not be surprised, for this has been consistent over the last 20 years. We have had 20 years of rulership, and rulers do not explain to their subjects what it is that they are going to do. They don't owe it to them.
Like my two colleagues, I am not at all surprised that the leaders of the APC and the PDP have decided to turn their back on the people of Nigeria and tell them finally that they never amounted to much in their eyes. Now, the reason they are not here, there are two reasons. One is arrogance. They believe that the people of Nigeria have no voice and no choice. That you will always come back to them. They believe that you cannot move away from them. They believe they've trapped you. They've kept you in bondage. They've kept you in bondage for far too long, and it is now time for us to send them a message. The second reason they are not here is because they cannot answer the questions.
if we were to judge, the presidential election by debate and oratory prowess, that should be President Kingsley Moghalu, as in the way he performed excellently well. And in fact, the Fela Durotoye was exceptional. Obi Ezekwesili was the best element, and those three people actually, they stood up to the occasion. And some people were even saying it that, look, there's no how Atiku Abubakar would have attended these debates with or without President Buhari, that he couldn't have gone into the ring with these young people. And somebody described them as, Professor Sage described them as motivational speakers. Now, what do you want him to go and do with motivational speakers? Do you know what's your take?
You see, there is a difference between taking a strategic decision and simply going with the street. Going with the street would require that Atiku Abubakar showed up and used the opportunity to tell Nigerians what he had to offer. But Atiku is a very strategic person. He beat a retreat. And I can say that he took a wise decision.
How?
If he had attended, you see, let me tell you, without pretending, all those guys that you saw, Fela Durotoye, Kingsley Moghalu, Obi Ezekwesili, each of them had a Buhari plan for the debate, an Atiku plan for the debate. If Buhari showed up, they will have simulated how they will tear him down at that debate. They would have, for everything that Buhari would say his government has achieved, those guys will have simulated how they will appropriately puncture, appropriately respond to everything that the president said. Even the things that he did not plan to say, they will come to that place to say it. Now, Atiku was just being commonsensical. It's easy for us to sit here or sit behind our desk and be saying, no, you should have shown up, you should have shown up.
Nigerians, his program, that he disrespected Nigerians.
No, see, if Atiku had gone to that debate, the treatment that they had prepared to mete out to President Buhari, they would have meted out to him. That's what would have happened. So they will have argued that to say, see, we are, each of them will have said, I'm better than a man who represents a party that was there for 16 years and brought us to where we are now. Atiku will have spent the whole duration of the debate defending PDP's years of rot. That's what he will have spent all that time doing. He knew. He's a smart,
Just
old,
like Oshibajo
smart old man.
in the first debate.
He will have, that's what he would have done. They would have done to him. He knew. But if Buhari was there, the bulk of the attention would have been on the president, because as the president, the sitting president, it is his prize that they want to take away. Yeah. So Atiku, all of them, will have focused on decimating the president.
Overkill.
Yes. And when they focus on decimating the president and the president predictably loses the debate, then Atiku, some people will start thinking, well, since Buhari didn't do well in this debate, perhaps, because whether we like it or not, it's a two-horse race.
Definitely.
So are you telling us none of these guys are in the race?
Well,
they can say they are in the race. But if you ask me, and I want you to come back, this same question that you're asking me after the election, come and ask me again. Come and ask me again. So what I'm saying is, if Atiku and Buhari had been in that debate together, Atiku will have been seen by some, because the three, all four of them will face the president. They will face the president, and even his own plan will be thrown out of the window. His plan to excel at that debate will be thrown out of the window. The strategy will have to change because he will spend the whole night defending his government, defending himself, defending his stewardship. But it will have helped Atiku a little bit because some people will now see Atiku, oh, since the president didn't do well in this debate, well, since it's a two-horse race, perhaps we can settle for. Because people won't settle for those the remaining three guys.
Especially those who believe they don't want to waste their
They don't have the structures to win this election. By the nature of our politics, none of them can win the election. They can't even win a single state. So you know that, I know that. So who is capable?
Lofty programs.
Yes, look, Mohalu will make a good president because these days, it is people of his age, brilliance and experience that other countries are going for. But Nigeria is not like other countries. So whether we like it or not, these old generation politicians, we are saddled with them for at least maybe 3 rounds of elections.
3 rounds, not 2023.
Okay, so who will emerge out of? Because, look, if they are living now, if it's going to the south, you already know the people who will be in the forefront.
Yeah.
If it's going to the south-south, you already have an idea. Even if they decide that, okay, it's going to the south-south, you already have an idea of those who will emerge from there. Yeah. They won't allow any political neophyte to emerge. No, it's not our kind of political neophyte to emerge and become our president. No. No. People like Shagari will emerge. They have been there since the First Republic.
First Republic, yeah.
So people don't just happen on the scene in our politics and become president and become no. It's not going to happen. We have a long way to go to replace the older generation. Atiku took a wise decision. If Buhari was in Atiku's shoes, he would have taken the same decision. You don't go to that place because it's predictable. It will have been like a tag team. You know the way, if you watch wrestling, you know how tag team. So before you get tired, the other one will just tag you. He will go in to go and beat the person. Atiku will have been their whipping boy. He knew it. He saw the danger coming. He took to his heels.
When I saw the debate and I saw the kind of the camera shots kept showing those 2 vacant seats to lay that emphasis that they're now around, they're absent, they haven't, and some of the candidates actually said, look, it's a generational shift thing, that this is how Nigerians should reject them because they disrespected Nigerians for not coming for that debate, that Nigerians should reject them in the next 25 days. Do you see that happening at all?
That's a very wild shot. But you see, it is predictable for the absence of the president. If you watched the candidate on Wednesday and the way the president performed, you will know that...
Or refused to perform.
Well, whichever way. You will know that those who are his advisors will tell him, advise him to stay away. Because even with the presence of the vice president, you will notice that the presenter, Kadere Ahmed, who incidentally was my classmate, was at a point telling the vice president that the question is meant for the president, not for you.
To let him talk.
I mean, that he can talk, let him talk. So you will know that definitely. And in this case, the president is going to be alone. It's a race of presidential candidates.
So the vice VP has done his own.
So it will be only the president that will be facing
solo.
And if the president had attended, it will be don't let me repeat what Babajide has said. It is the same. I have the same view. The president will be the hit man. Is the one that every one of them is going to eat, the whipping boy. So the best thing for him is to have stayed away.
But somebody
is...
came all the way from the United States. I looked at that itinerary, and if he had flown a direct flight from the United States, he would have spent like 10 hours to get to Abuja, a minimum, to get to Abuja to meet 7 p.m. Nigerian time.
If you look at that,
went straight for the debate.
Yes.
If you look at that,
because he thought the president would be there.
The president has more to lose than the presidential candidate of PDP or any of them. Because it is his position they are gunning for.
Yes.
So if he had attended and he gave the same kind of performance which he did on Wednesday,
the outcome is predictable.
The outcome is predictable because many people, as they say on the streets, who debate help. But in this case, you will find out that there will be some people who will say that, okay, this man could not even defend his achievements or whatever he says the administration has done in the last 3.5 years. So if he can't, this other man, I would rather vote for him than vote for the other 3 candidates who I like to categorize as still wrong. Also wrong, because in the light of what is going on in the reality of our life, of our time, there are many people who want to vote. They will look at it that if I vote for Buhari, it's likely to win. If I vote for Atiku, it's likely to win. So, out of this, the remaining 3 other people, I don't want to waste my vote. So some of those people who don't want to vote for Buhari or don't want to vote for Atiku, rather than vote for any of these 3, will stay away. So that one will show up the votes of the 2 other candidates, because many Nigerians, when you talk to them today, say, okay, you young ones, you youths, let us make a breakaway. Say, no, I don't want to waste my vote. So that is what is happening. And for me, I think if it were to be in a serious country, and if people are really sure they really want what they are going to count, the 2 candidates who absented themselves at the polls, people should punish them. But we all know that it won't happen. It won't happen. That's the problem.
But when are we going to get there? We see other developed countries and developing countries when they're about to have things like this, and there will be a presidential debate, and this culture, somebody was even talking about even legislating this, as in making sure that it's part of the process, that these candidates must come out to Nigerians.
That maybe the Electoral Act has to be amended
to
force candidates.
Just put it as part of the process, come and articulate what, because somebody will just sit down.
Until we do that, they will not.
Obasanjo will decide to shun the debate, he will emerge as the president.
Obasanjo knew that he could not debate against an Olufalaye.
Yes.
Because Olufalaye, an economist, an administrator, former secretary of government of the Federation, had already shown himself to be very brilliant.
Yes.
And Obasanjo does not like debate. If we remember, when he wrote, he was arguing with Aton Wanko, both of them were joint letters.
Yes.
When Aton Wanko clearly defeated him in an intellectual war, Obasanjo began to threaten his life.
Yes.
So Obasanjo is someone who has an aversion for debate. He cannot, he just wants to tell you, sit there and that is it. So that's his nature. So I was not surprised when, after, he became the candidate of the PDP, he refused to come for that debate. It seems increasingly that even for Nigerians, that once they become president, they think they are too big for a debate.
Yes.
You saw it even with Jonathan.
With Jonathan. And that's why people are saying that
even Buhari, who debated in 2011, by the time he became a candidate of the APC, he stayed away from a debate. And now he has become president, he stayed away again from a debate. You see, democracy offers different platforms through which people can reach the voters. Through candidates can reach the voter. Debate is just one of them. And in our country, if we are to tell ourselves the truth, the number of people who watch the debate is very, very small.
Yeah.
Very small.
Have
Where
power,
do they watch it? Is it TV?
Wi-Fi.
Was it on TV? That same last week, even here in TVC, I remember that from 10 a.m. to around 10 p.m. when I was going home, we were running on generator here.
Yeah.
This big company, we were running on generator.
So who will put on his own?
The ordinary, and in my house, that one it's a daily punishment for me that I should not enjoy public electricity. I've already when I'm going home and I see a lot of my people living in my area, they too are in darkness. I'll say, well, I cannot say someone is persecuting me. We share a heritage of lack of electricity, so I accept it. A lot of Nigerians like that who would normally want to watch, they can't watch. They can't watch because there's no light.
Okay,
so this is the thing. The percentage of people who have access to the debate is very low.
Yeah.
Aminu is calling us from Borno State. Thank you for joining us, Aminu.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, go ahead with your contribution.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. We're fine.
Yeah. I would like to contribute on this issue that you are discussing.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, actually, Atiku didn't run away because he said that if the president is ready and the other colleagues, they were ready, they should fix days at any short possible time. They are coming for the debate. He's ready for the debate. And I saw in this year's station that a week to the election, there will be another debate also.
Yes.
You are advertising on this station.
We hope they will attend.
Debate also, they will be called to attend. But the truth of the matter on a debate issue, anybody that is in office is always on the defensive side.
That's true.
Yes, like the vice president's own, you see, both of them, the vice president of PDP and that of APC, they both tried. But you see, Obi has an edge over him because Obi is on defense. By the time you change their seat, Obi is in vice president, this Obasanjo is coming. You know, you will see also that issue will show itself again.
Thank you, Aminu.
You are right.
Actually, truly, the candidate of the PDP, they always have edge because they know they have performed more than those of APC. APC, they don't have anything on ground.
Thank you, Aminu. Thank you, Aminu. So, looking at the whole thing, because some people were actually excluded from that exercise. And Omo Yorilesho actually went to court because of not included in that exercise. And I don't know the rationale and the yardstick that the organizers they used.
Just like us, because TVC, we are organizing debates at state level, governorship debates, we are organizing presidential and vice presidential debates. And there are parameters. You can see the promo that we are running. We are telling people to vote for the candidates that they want to see take part in the debate.
Yes.
That's a parameter. The regulator insists that you must show the parameters that you use to decide on the top 5. So it could be online voting. It could be even through radio. It could be opinion sampling. It could be kind of visibility assessment, whereby you see the candidate that has the most posters in the state. So that way you know that that candidate has visibility. So there are different parameters that can be used. Nobody sets out to do a debate simply handpicking people. That's against the NBC regulation. And then for you to be allowed to go ahead with the debate, you must show the parameters.
It's even a commonsensical thing because we have about 90 political parties. How do you want to organize debate for 90 presidential candidates and vice presidential candidates? So I think that the criteria that was used is fair enough. You have to show that you really matter.
Before we leave this, will this in any way affect Atiku Abubakar and Muhammadu Buhari?
Well, we have said it earlier. I'm not sure it's going to affect them. It should, but in our kind of politics, I don't think it will.
Babajide?
No, I don't think so. The people on the streets of Kaduna, the streets of Jos,
Yeah.
Bauchi, even the South and Southwest states where those candidates have campaigned, they are ready to vote for them. Nigerians, the bulk of Nigerians have made up their minds. Only a few people will watch the debate and say that, look, we know what Buhari can do. We know he's not an excellent speaker. So, and the people, those his diehard supporters, they know his strengths. They know he's not an excellent speaker. He's not going to earn plaudits in the ability to speak. They know why they're voting for him. And the same thing with Atiku. Over the years, he has built a strong political base. It's not a debate that will suddenly earn him plaudits. And when that person said he didn't run, that he has said if they are ready. If, again, there is a debate, what he said it's ready if the president...
Mr. President, ready.
Because let me tell
Both
you,
of them.
from the beginning, it was Mr. President that was challenging.
He's not.
He didn't challenge Ezekwesili.
No.
He will never do that. He won't challenge Ezekwesili to a debate.
No,
he will never challenge Mohalu to a debate.
Or
He will not challenge Sowore to a debate because that one will abuse him. He will never challenge Feladu Toye. It's the president that he has been challenging. So, and if the president that he has been challenging stays away, I don't see Atiku showing up because he knows that those guys will mess him up.
All right, when we return, presidency kicks as Obasanjo accuses Buhari of behaving like Abacha, doubt INEC on free and fair poll. Stay with us, it's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back after this time out. It's your favorite program on TV, Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from the best television of the year, like a tested general who never shies away from battle. Former President Olusegun Aremo Okikiola Obasanjo has once again attacked President Muhammadu Buhari in another letter made public by the former ruler in his country home, Abeokuta, on Sunday. Obasanjo accused President Buhari of running an autocratic government similar to the administration of the late military dictator, General Sani Abacha. He claimed that President Buhari plans to rig the February presidential election in his favor. He also cast doubts on the ability of INEC to conduct free and fair polls. The All Progressive Congress, APC, is however not bemused. Let's share some of the tantrums with you.
Well, Nigeria must appreciate Buhari for the little he has done and allow him to depart for home in peace if he allows free, fair, peaceful, and credible elections. We must also tell ourselves that Nigeria deserves better at this point in time than what Buhari is capable of offering. History will note that he has been here. Nigeria now needs a man with better physical and mental soundness, with an active mind and intellect.
We can understand where the former president is coming from. His past is haunting him. He imagines that perhaps the way he did it, remembering, he must have consulted or looked back at the books, of when he was president. 2003 and 2007 elections were nothing to write home about. Those happened under President Obasanjo. So, for us, former President Obasanjo should adjust himself to the reality that after February 16, he would realize he is not God.
the Publicity Secretary of the All Progressive Congress, Larry Onilu, and the former President, Olusegun Obasanjo. President Obasanjo said something, physical and mental alertness, that for a new person to come in who is physically and mentally alert. And a lot of people, they've been banding video on YouTube. They've been referring to the Delta presidential campaign, which Mr. President actually called Great Ogboru the presidential candidate instead of senatorial candidate or governorship candidate. And it comes to mind, a lot of people would refer to you as that debate, the last meeting they had, which the vice president actually had to take most of the questions. So, give or take, do you think Olusegun Obasanjo has a point here?
Well, we know our nation is not where it ought to be. Security, economy, and power. But whether Obasanjo is morally justified to be saying this to us is a different ball game. Obasanjo played a key part in bringing this government to power. So, has he told Nigerians that he regretted his action? Has he apologized to Nigerians for campaigning for Buhari? He has not done that. What angers him is the fact that he's been neglected, he's been treated like an insignificant person by this administration. And Obasanjo doesn't like that. He wants to be in the spotlight all the time. He wants to be the one advising you all the time, telling you, take this decision, take that decision. That's his nature. And where a government suddenly decides that it's time to shut him out of their day-to-day decision-making, he will turn against you. That was what happened with Jonathan. Because at a point, the hawks around Jonathan felt, okay, this man, let us even put him on one side so that we can focus on running our country. At that point, he turned against them, began to write letters and all that. He had access to Jonathan, yet he chose to write that derisive letter against Jonathan. So the issue is not, we know that we have problems as a nation. Nigerians will ask their presidents. And I like the fact that even the president in some of the places that he goes to, people tell him what the problems are. You saw that town hall. People asked him questions. People told him what the problems are. The president went to Maiduguri, and the El Kanemi told the president that, Mr. President, we are still under siege of Boko Haram. So the president has different avenues through which he can feel the pulse of Nigerians, through which he can know what the problems are. It is not Obasanjo, it's not up to Obasanjo to be doing this because he is part of the rot. If Obasanjo had solved some of the problems that we have today, including electricity, we won't be in the mess that we found ourselves. He had 8 years. He couldn't fix roads. Look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. That is not far away from his country home. He didn't fix it, even the Ota Road. So if he had done all of that, people like Buhari would have had so little to do, to the point that Nigerians will not say that, oh, this president has left so much undone. I don't think that it bodes well for us as a country that a man who cannot call himself a moral giant wants to be seen as the moral compass of our country. I don't think it bodes well for us as a people. Because I know clearly why Obasanjo is doing all of this. And he has to be careful. I don't think this administration will afford him some of the things that the Jonathan administration afforded him. Because Buhari is not Jonathan. And there are more, in my view, there are more people who are ready to kick his ass in this administration. I don't think they are as polite as Jonathan. So And the more he writes these letters, the more they get determined that they must win this next election as a way of sounding the Obasanjo's political debt. They will do their best to win the election. It's actually, they don't need any motivation more than what Obasanjo is doing. It's pushing them harder and harder to work harder to win the election so that at the end of the day, they can convince themselves that they are finally buried in politically.
Are we saying, as a statesman, are we saying as a former president, are you saying as somebody that, you know, at one point in time, different time in our history, has led this country, that it doesn't have the locus to actually advise the government of the day?
It does. But before I even go to that, President Obasanjo, or former President Obasanjo, in his use of the word autocratic, I think is a misnomer. If he says the Buhari government is lethargic, fine. But to say autocratic, I mean,
Dictator.
the meaning of
Comparing him
autocratic
to Abacha.
and comparing him to Abacha. Now, how many people have been detained or killed under the present government?
They will tell you exactly. They will tell you that Sambo
Yes,
detained
we know.
outside court order.
Yes.
They will tell you, they'll reel it out for you.
And what about killings?
I don't know about
Are
that.
they as rampant now as during his time?
During his time. So
How many
the
Senate
word
presidents have been
autocratic-
forced out of
Exactly. How many? I mean, we all know that. In fact, people have been saying it since 2015 that the Senate president, Bukola Saraki, if it were to be under Obasanjo, would not
them away.
be Senate president today. But the president has not done well. They've tried, but somehow he has never interfered in the legislative duties to the point of saying he must be removed. So that is that. And the issue of, as a former president and a statesman, I think in Nigeria, we use the word statesman carelessly. Every man that has held one office here and there or has gone to a particular age, we say is a statesman. Who is a statesman? Look, a statesman, the real definition and the work of a statesman is never to come into public to say whatever he wants. I'm a bloody journalist. If I say I want to see the president, nobody will give me the opportunity to see him. But if a former president or a former governor or whatever wants to see the president, with the man with the status of General or former President Olusegun Obasanjo, if he says he wants to see, even without any prior appointment, if he flies to Abuja today and says that he wants to see the president, no matter what, they will give him the chance to see him. So as a statesman, there are some things.
That's what Jonathan said.
Exactly.
Said
there are some things that you will say that will eat up the polity. For if the Yoruba says that it is not every cloth that you dry in the sun. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has he can go in and out of Asoro. He can go in and out of almost any other country in the world, talk less of Nigeria. So what stops him from getting appointments or going to Abuja to tell this man this? Because what he has done now is already eating up the polity. Okay. And is a terrible, anything that happens
this
now.
This one's not even advice.
No,
He's abusing them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yinka has charged out the issue of being dictatorial or not. He now said he doesn't trust INEC. This INEC, the ability to conduct a free and fair election. And a lot of people want to say INEC under Professor Ibe Gubadia, under Ephraim Akpata, Ibe Gubadia, and Professor Morisiwu.
Yes.
They want to look at it in the 8 years of Olusegun Obasanjo from 1999 to 2007. And when you want to compare that INEC then though they are involving and everything. But we had cases that courts kept upturning what INEC was doing at that point in time.
Courts will upturn electoral outcomes. It's a normal thing. But you know, the electoral, the amendment to the Electoral Act, you must earn your victory in the electoral battlefield.
Yes.
You know? So if there's a need, they may have to do a rerun or something, but you must win on the electoral battlefield. Talking about INEC, Professor Yakubu Mahmoud is one of the greatest historians to have come out of Nigeria. It's called a first class. Now, it is up to him to give himself immortality or rig elections for politicians. How he wants to meet his maker is up to him. The INEC chairman is my friend. But this is the advice. If he stands before me, it's the same thing I will say before him. Every one of us has a date with our maker. Every one of us should ask ourselves how we will be remembered. Today, Jega is remembered across the world as somebody who conducted an election in Nigeria and he did a good job. So, Obasanjo has merely challenged Professor Yakubu to do his job with the best of conscience. He should be as close to his conscience as possible in the discharge of his duty. Politicians can say what they like. People of Obasanjo can say what they like. But he should give us an election that we can all be proud of. That is what we want. That's how our country can progress. If we have a situation in which leaders, we can't change leaders at all levels, even when they are not popular, even when they don't deserve to win, somehow they manage to win, we can never make progress as a nation, because we must use our votes to get leaders to work for us. If leaders realize that whether we vote against them or not, that they will retain their positions, we will not make progress, because they too will not be challenged in any way. So it is up to Mahmoud to do what is right, to take what Obasanjo has said, because I read it and it was extremely harsh on INEC. Whereas some of the elections that I've seen that INEC has conducted, they've done very well, especially with all those rerun elections and all that. Even the rate of litigation has gone down. So the INEC that we have now, the INEC that we have now cannot be compared with the INEC of Obasanjo's era, when in Ogun State, in the 2003 election, the votes recorded in Ogun State were higher than the number of registered voters. I was at the Supreme Court to cover the judgment when the Supreme Court affirmed this. So this is the thing. At that time, they were simply writing figures. But we have a situation now that INEC has card reader, electronic verification of your biometrics. They will check it. Voters, and then, so our processes are improving. We are a lot better than Obasanjo's era. In my view, the person who was closer to a clone of Abacha was Obasanjo. Because when you look at the impunity that happened during his era, Buhari has not been close to that. We are not, as I said, we are not where we ought to be. We should be a lot better as a country. But Buhari, you cannot accuse Buhari of even perpetrating half of the impunity that happened during Obasanjo's time.
Wale,
that's a fact.
Olawale is calling us from Lagos. Wale, are you still there? Thank you for joining us, Olawale.
Hey, good evening, Ayo.
Good evening, Wale.
Good evening.
Good evening, long time.
Yes.
Good evening, oh, my friend, the encyclopedia.
I greet you, sir.
Babajide Otitoju.
I greet you, sir. Long time.
Yeah, I just want to comment briefly. Yeah.
Wale, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, God bless you, Ayo. Look, all of us were in this country, okay, in 1999. Former President Obasanjo was imposed on the country by Absalam Abubakar. In fact, everybody wanted the military to go. So whether good or not, you just want the military to go. In 2003, because former President Obasanjo had no base in the Southwest. The election was massively rigged. Everybody knows, except Tinubu that stood his ground. Okay? So, there has never been free, fair, and credible election in Nigeria in the last 16 years of PDP regime. And for President Obasanjo, who has turned himself to the president for life in Nigeria, and more or less president for life in Africa, to be saying this is overstating the policy. It means, as an elder statesman, people are Galama and Bagda, getting not turn Nigeria upside down.
Thank you, Wale. Thank you, Wale. Is Obasanjo overheating the polity?
No, not really. I don't think people are that bothered to the extent that they will think, something is going to happen. No, it's not. I don't see it as overheating the polity. I just think that what he's doing amounts to simply throwing his weight around. And throwing your weight around does not necessarily mean that you're overheating the polity. I mean, the insult, you can see the way he even spoke about Osinbajo. I mean, it's extremely degrading for an old man to address people in the words that Obasanjo has used. No matter how bitter, no matter what you feel about these people, a lot of us, we too, we criticize them. I've lost friends who think that I must support the government at all times. No, I've lost friends too. We feel bad about some of the things going on. But to employ the kind of language that is really condescending to describe people, to tear down people in the way he has done, I don't think it's right. And as I said, if he continues to do this, it will, at a point, he will lose the right to be taken seriously. And once that is done to him, he has criticized every president, including presidents that he made. Yeah. He made Shagari. Go and read Shagari's book. You see what he had Shagari to say about Obasanjo. Yeah. Because he will not let you walk. Yeah. He will be harassing you. He reminds me of one Canadian wrestler of WWE, you know, one of the Hart brothers, who used to describe himself as the best there is, the best that has been, the best there will ever be. You know, is it Bret Hart, Bret the Hitman Hart. So Obasanjo sees himself as the best there was, the best there has always been, and the best that will always be. That's the way he sees himself, and he's the only one who is right. When he talks about people, this person being a dictator, Buhari being a dictator, even in his hometown, Owu, the kingmakers brought, they chose who will be the next king, and they brought their choice to Obasanjo. Obasanjo collected that paper from them where they wrote the result. He squeezed it and ate it. So even in your hometown, you see exercise extreme autocratic tendencies to your own people, to your own kingmakers. You go and read the news, did the story then. We can't forget these things. And we saw how he was he not the one who was president and he took a whip and was beating a policeman in Benue State.
Benue State
he beat up a policeman with koboko. As Buhari descended to that level. So when we are talking about impunity, he is the one that we best remember for impunity. We are not saying Buhari is perfect. We talk about the things that he should do that he has not done. But to go on and on the way Obasanjo is doing, for me, it's just not right.
Is there nothing we can pick from Obasanjo's letter and we can work on it?
Well, he has some redeeming messages and features there. But you see, as they say, if there is this folktale that the tortoise stole and his in-law tied him to a stake, people were going to the market. They saw him being tied to the stake and said, oh, it serves you well, you are a thief and all that. On their way back, he was still there. And everybody started saying, this punishment is too much now. It's an overkill. The former president, as I've said earlier on, should choose the fights he's going to indulge in. He has the access to talk to the president one-on-one. Or will the president not talk to him? He can now reserve all these other, he's a very good writer, he can reserve it till later, that okay, oh, at so time, when he was president, I spoke to him, he never listened to me. Better, but not that you begin, because people will not take you seriously. Even when he has a good message now, people don't take it seriously, because when you talk too much...
so frequent.
Exactly. People will not take you serious again.
So ultimately, Obasanjo is known consistently to write these letters, and is it a kind of strategy ahead of the election? The last time he wrote this letter, and the next time he took to the markets in Abeokuta.
Went into the market. No, when he wants to fight you, he fights you with all his guts. No, I said it, I will not relent. It's not that I'm surprised. In fact, what surprises me is that he has not even done worse things than this. He will not, once he chooses to fight you, he will fight you to the end. He will not relent. So the people, Buhari's people should expect even more, especially as the elections draw closer. You know, he will go to great lengths to show them that he does not want the president to return.
All right, I can conclude today's edition by not saying a special tribute to one of our fans out there. I think is in Kogi State or Kwara State. That is the High Chief Johnson Kolade Otitoju, the father of Babajide Kolade Otitoju. And thank you, Daddy, for giving us the message himself. Babajide Kolade Otitoju is a viewer. He watches Journalist Hangout every day. Every day, I'm sure he's at home watching us now. Daddy, we love you. Wishing you many more years in good health. Babajide, yes, a shout out to Daddy.
He's 82 years today, and he still remains very sharp. He watches the program every day, except when he is unable to if there is no electricity supply. So they tell me there is no light today. In fact, some time ago, I had to tell the correspondent, I said, go and buy petrol. Just give them so that they can watch it as frequently as an old man, there are not many things that excite them anymore. Yet they want to be current. They want to know what's going on in our country. He knows all the OAPs of TVC. He knows them by their first names, and he's extremely fond of our brilliant anchors in the house. So I'm sure right now he will be watching, and our people will also be praying for him as he marks his 82nd birthday.
And after now, we'll go and do some shindig on behalf of Baba.
On his behalf. You know, he was here last week to watch us live.
Okay.
That's the picture that shows.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Lainka Oyebile. Thank you for being part of this edition of Journalist Hangout, and the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade Otitoju. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our platforms showing on the screen. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.